Again, I'm Lori Rappy from Thrive Functional Wellness Center.
I'm Dr. Rappy from Thrive Functional Wellness Center.
So today's topic is the top 10 physical effects of stress.
Holy smokes, that's a lot.
Yeah,
10.
and these are just the top 10, but stress is a huge topic right now with COVID and everything that's happened. So we have done actually, I think 3 or 4 of these Facebook Lives about different stress topics. And there's some of our most popular ones, so we're glad to revisit this today. So, you're raising your hand.
I got a question, or not
Okay.
a question, let me interject.
Okay.
Try not to be rude and interrupt. So when we go through these top 10, I would like a thumbs up from those of you who actually have what we're talking about. So the first one on the list is diarrhea. An example would be if that's something you've experienced because of stress, give it a thumbs up so we can kind of see how everybody's associated with these issues. Okay?
Great idea.
There you go.
Okay.
How about that?
And don't feel shy because
Don't be shy.
You know what? Everyone goes through these. But
Yeah.
I'm going to list off the top 10 so we can make sure we have the list, and then we're going to do a little bit more of a deep dive. So, as Dr. Rappy said, number 1 is diarrhea. Yes.
If diarrhea. Yeah.
No one's like,
There's
there
a
we
thumbs
go.
up.
No, there was
Look.
a face.
A face. Oh, it's
You're like,
horrible.
I don't want to admit that I have diarrhea in
It's
public.
happened to all of us. Believe me.
Yes.
I could share a story about one of my kids and the diarrhea. Oh my goodness, it's
We're-
going to give me one of these.
Yeah, we're not going to do that
No,
today.
we're not doing it.
No. So, diarrhea is number 1. Number 2 is constipation.
Oh, just the opposite.
Just the opposite.
I gotta go, I can't go.
Yes. And that's something we see so often. I
Yeah.
literally see people who haven't had a bowel movement in around 4 days, and it's like, okay, Houston, we have a problem.
Toxic.
Okay, so diarrhea, constipation, weight gain.
Weight gain.
I think we can all do a thumbs
Thumbs up on weight gain.
for stress.
Right.
Compromised immune system.
That's
Interesting.
one that most people don't know about, but in this environment today, regardless of which side of the fence you're on, we want to have the strongest immune system possible.
Exactly. So the immune system, nausea, interesting, insomnia,
Can't sleep, stressed out.
muscle tightness, headaches,
Yeah.
brain fog, I'm losing
Right.
count, and chronic inflammation.
Chronic inflammation.
So that's the top 10. Were there any surprises in that list for anybody that's joining us? Any? Okay, thumbs up. So what we're going to talk about now is we're going to talk a little bit about the different pieces of what we spoke about with stress. So our goal here in our office is we help to connect the dots for people. So often, let's say the constipation. I'll just go there. You're constipated. You're not really making that connection that maybe it's because of stress. Maybe it's because of anxiety. Maybe it's because of a hormone imbalance, a food sensitivity, right? It could be because of so many different things. But what we like to say is you definitely need to acknowledge that it's a red flag.
Red flag.
Your body is telling you something is wrong. So it's very important to identify, okay, if you have any of these are not normal functions. We need to do something about them.
That's right. So
Right?
let's just give you an example. You should go to the bathroom every single day. Every day. Think about it. If I eat 3 times a day and I only have 1 bowel movement a day, so we want to at least have 1 bowel movement a day. I think the average person is usually having 2, but if we're having 1, we're doing good. That's what we're looking for. If you're not going in a few days, think about it. All of that material is stuck in your intestines. If you've got leaky gut syndrome, that means that is leaking into your bloodstream. So it's really important that we're able to move that material out on a regular basis. And so it's a sign, like Lori said, it's a red flag. Something's going on.
Right.
Let's figure out what's the underlying cause. Remember, that's what we do, is always trying to identify what's the underlying cause of the dysfunction.
Right.
In this case, we want to identify, is it hypochlorhydria? Is it that I have water? I'm not drinking enough water. I'm dehydrated. There's all these things. We've got to go through a little checklist and identify what it is so we can correct the underlying cause, and therefore the constipation goes away, because it's a symptom or a sign that something's wrong.
Exactly. The same thing with like weight gain,
Weight gain.
right?
Think about weight gain. When we're under a lot of stress, what happens? We've had a talk about this. My cortisol goes through the roof. When I have elevated cortisol, I'm going to have issues with my appetite, meaning I'm going to be like wound up and I want to eat. And so I'm
Right.
going to reach for those comfort foods, typically sugary items, carbohydrate-filled products to soothe me, comfort foods.
Right.
Right? And so we've got to correct that because next thing you know, I packed on a bunch of weight. I had someone here about a month or so ago, and it was interesting. I hadn't seen him in a year, obviously, COVID, whatnot. And he finally came in, and I said, "Wow, you're really jacked up." And he sat up on the table, and he said to me, I didn't say anything to him. He said to me, he goes, "I packed on 80 pounds." Think about that, 80 pounds. That's 2/3 of her body weight. Are you kidding me? That's incredible. So why didn't that person recognize there was a problem at 20 pounds,
Right.
30 pounds, but wait till we get to 80? So there's a reason why we need to address these issues before they get to crisis mode.
Right. And when you're talking about that weight gain, the different topics that we mentioned coincide. So again, you're gaining the weight, you're eating the food you're not supposed to. That's probably prompting nausea and diarrhea. So a lot of them go together,
Yep.
but a lot of times people just say, it's no big deal. So like the patient that you're referring to gaining 80 pounds, right, for all different types of reason, we talked about inflammation. That is a big one,
Inflammation
right?
is huge. And going
Yeah.
back to the weight gain real quick, let me just give you some real world experience with what we do. It's a whole lot easier to gain 80 pounds than to lose 80 pounds. A whole lot easier,
Yes.
okay? So rather than get to that level, let's take care of it initially. Inflammation is a big problem. Remember, inflammation is the true underlying cause for heart attacks and strokes.
Right.
That's what drives heart attacks and strokes. Inflammation of the brain is going to cause brain fog, cognitive dysfunction. So inflammation is a really big problem, and we need to keep that at bay.
Right.
Right? And a big driver of inflammation is increased insulin output.
Which
When we have a
we-
lot of insulin being dumped, because why? Cortisol, I'm hungry, I'm comfort food, carbohydrates, all of a sudden I have all this insulin. That's screaming at my body to store fat, but it drives my insulin or drives my inflammation through the roof, and it suppresses my metabolism and it suppresses my immune system. Don't want that.
So, and as you hear
What a
Dr. Racky,
connection.
I know,
Oh,
I was just
it's
going to
crazy.
say, when you hear him talk about that, you realize, so one, your body just isn't one little piece. It's completely connected. So yes, we're talking about stress and we're talking about these symptoms, but it's also really important to remember, like he just talked about insulin, he just talked about adrenals, he talked about hormone imbalance. So like what we do here with our functional medicine program is we identify all those underlying issues, because it's usually not just one.
They all happen at the
Stress-
same time. They happen
Exactly.
together.
Exactly.
That's the problem.
But you have to identify all of
Yes.
them, including the stress,
Correct.
so that you can do something about it.
Yes.
And I'm actually, at the end of this, I'm going to share some of my top tips.
Top
too.
tips.
So,
I
but
love
before
that.
we go there, I did want you to share with everybody the three main types of stress
okay.
that we really identified here in the office.
So the three main types of stress, what we're going to see is, or what we're going to categorize them, there's a lot of subcategories, but the three main categories are going to be physical stress, then we're going to have chemical or environmental stress, and then we're going to have emotional stress, right?
Yeah.
Those are the big three. So if we just look back at what's going on, physical stress is I'm overdoing it, I'm overworking, I'm over-exercising, I've got a honey-do list that never goes away. I get 2 things off the top, there's 2 things added to the bottom that I could be overdoing that. So there's physical stress, that's going to affect my body's chemistry and particularly my inflammation. The chemical environmental stress is huge because we're exposed to those on a daily basis that we just don't recognize. Whether it's the soap in the shower, the to on a regular basis. And if our liver's not working and we're not detoxing and cleaning out all of these bad products in our body, they're toxic to us. They affect our hormone production, hormone distribution, hormone usage, and all other aspects of our body. So it's really important. And lastly is emotional stress. Every single person out there today on the planet can relate to emotional stress. The last year has been an emotional roller coaster for all of us. Whether you're a small business owner that was shut down or lost their business, or a family member that got sick, maybe someone passed, you lost your job. There's all of these things that are affecting us emotionally, and that affects our chemistries, that affects our hormone production, our hormone usage. Think about this. If I have some things happen to me and it's very emotional for me and it's challenging for me and it causes me anxiety and stress, it's going to cause possibly diarrhea, constipation. It's going to affect my hormone production. So you can just see this spider web of stuff that's going to take place. So the three big areas: physical, chemical, emotional. Those are huge, and we've all experienced those on a daily basis.
And I'd like to add, what's amazing is the first one, the physical stress that he talked about. You can also have, someone who's constantly in physical pain. We see that a lot here in the office. So that physical pain on a daily basis can create the same stress, the same symptoms in your body as the other types of stress.
Right.
So again, it's making these connections and knowing I need to do something about it. And that's kind of the good part of all of this, is that there are a lot of things that you can do. So,
and don't be that person that wants to shove it down into the tank. You've got to first acknowledge that it exists, recognize it, acknowledge that it exists, and then take the steps necessary to correct the issue. And that's what we do. That's what we do.
And that's kind of what I was going to talk about, is in our program, when we work with people, stress management is one piece of a whole puzzle of what we work with people.
Correct.
Because you can eat all the right foods, you could exercise, you could, take the supplements, but if you're not dealing with your stress management on a daily basis, it literally just negates everything else.
Correct.
So I actually was going to share some things that we recommend.
Tips.
So,
Here's your tips.
Some tips.
Get your pen and paper out.
The first thing I do want to say is the blood work. So again, in the programs that we do, we have to identify the underlying issues. And so for us, the testing is the way to do it. The blood work, the testing, it gives the doctor so much good information. And the doctor talked about this for a moment as well. When we're having these issues, the number one thing we have to do is identify the triggers. Very, very important. And I did a whole Facebook Live actually about mindset and mindset changes and the whole idea of awareness. Awareness is the first step. We have to have that awareness that every time I go there, I'm stressed out. Every time I eat this, I'm stressed out, right? That's the first step, is awareness. So the other thing that you need to do is you do have to evaluate nutritionally. What are you doing? And get some help, because food sensitivities, nutritional deficits, all of that can affect everything we talked about as well. You need to get moving. You need to get some exercise. This is really important. Always talking about a morning routine. I feel that this is really, really important. And I feel that when you can start your morning with a solid routine that includes some sort of stress management, like breath work, which is phenomenal.
Amazing.
And exercise and different self-care tips. When you start your day like that, what happens is it balances your central nervous system, and for the rest of the day, you just respond to things much calmer. We can't always take away that stress, whether it's our job, our family, whatever it is, but we can control how we respond. So again, it's important to your exercise, your movement, the daily breath work, and acknowledging the triggers. Sleep.
Huge.
Sleep is really, really important, right?
Yeah, so what happens during sleep, besides the dreams that we have, is your body's recovering. That's the whole point. It's recovering, it's rejuvenating, it's regenerating for the next day. And so it's really important that we get adequate amounts of sleep.
Yes.
Really important.
So it all comes down to a self-care commitment. All of this. When we make the commitment that taking care of ourselves is so important, that's going to help us with the list of 10 things that we talked about, whether it is you're having these issues because it's stress, hormone imbalance, whatever the underlying issue is, the first step is saying, I don't like how I feel. I need to do something about it. And that's really where we come in. I have all of our contact information at the top of this. We love to help people who are here. They're in the mindset of, I need to do something different. I'm
Yes.
going to do something different. So
And it's nothing. And one of the most satisfying things for us, and that with what we do, is to hear someone say, "Oh my goodness, I can't tell you how amazing I feel, and I didn't realize that I could feel this good." They're so used to this yucky feeling. They're so dysfunctional and all this stuff going on, and all of a sudden they're like a flower that opens up in the sun. They're like, wow, this is what it's supposed to feel like. This is incredible.
exactly.
And a lot of people haven't felt that for many, many, many years.
And-
Don't accept that.
And that's really the biggest reason why Dr. Rappy and I have made the commitment to come here live with you every Tuesday. And I'm actually excited to announce, I didn't even share this with him.
Uh-oh, here we go.
Is that this is our
You wanna sit down?
No, don't sit down, please. This is our 25th live episode.
25.
And I'm really proud of that. We made a commitment back in February to come live, and even though this is so out of our comfort zone for all of you that are on here who really know us, but for us, what's really, thank you very much, Veronica, what's important to us is to give people hope and to show people, like what Dr. Rappy was saying, is there is another way. There's a holistic solution. So we are coming at you with all different types of topics, hoping that something clicks for you, something clicks for your family member, and you say, wait a minute, that's right. I've had diarrhea now for a year, and you know what? That's not good. I need to do something about that.
It's not okay.
I haven't slept well in 6 months. Okay, that's not good. I need to do something. I need to make my self-care a priority. So that's why we've come here live, and I'm really excited for us. So we have a whole great lineup for August. And again, I announced how next week I'm coming live. Thank you so much. Thanks, Shauna.
Thanks, Shauna.
You're right. Fix the issue, not cover the symptoms.
That's right.
That's exactly it. Next week, we're coming live from our kitchen, and I'm going to be sharing all of, not all, but most of what I can find in my house of my spices, sauces, dressings, how I teach our wellness members how to elevate their healthy foods or healthy meals, because if it doesn't taste fantastic, you're going to be bored. Nobody wants to be bored with their eating. And food is medicine. What you feed your body is so important. So I'm excited to see everybody next week. Please share this information with your friends and family. It's free. We're sharing all this for you for free.
We're
so
helping.
join us.
Next
anything
week,
else you
I'm
wanna-
excited. It's
You're
fantastic.
excited? Okay,
Yeah.
good. All right, well, thank you again, everyone who's joined us live. We really appreciate the support. And those of you who are watching this recorded, again, we really appreciate that you're here. It's our passion to help people and show that there is a holistic solution for almost every health issue. But the first step is you have to make yourself a commitment to self-care and do something different. Because if
Right.
we keep doing the same thing over and over again, guess what?
Get the same outcome.
Exactly. Oh, Rose, thank you so much for that. Fantastic seeing everybody, and we hope to see you next week.
Okay, guys, next week, number 26.
26.
Woohoo!
Bye.
Bye.